Hey, all right. I'm having a little trouble working my lights here, so hopefully you can see me. Welcome to the Pondcast. Glad you're with us. We have a lot. We have a very special. History has taught us two things in the history of the world and humanity. One is that you should never invade Russia. Two is that you will be surprised. History is only a list of things that have shown that we will continue to be surprised. So we have a big surprise for you today. I'm surprised. You're surprised. We're all going to be surprised. It's a really good surprise, though. We have a guest for you today that we're going to get to real quick. But I actually just wanted to for the top, I just wanted to talk a little bit about guys. You can say hi. Actually, sorry, Tony and Steve. You want to say hello?
Hey.
What's up? All right. I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the process of putting together one of these shows, and Tony and Steve can definitely corroborate this. We get together, pulling facts and researching, and we do, we put literally, you just time and time, you spend hour a month, just every month, an hour at least. And it really adds up to hopefully a well-prepared show. So today we had a lot of ideas, and this is what I think is happening. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put it all out there. I'm pretty sure that we were planning on giving you guys a dumbed-down episode. They were trying to play to let John do a little bit more. That was the plan. And as I resent that, I'm glad because that's not the direction that we are going in. We actually have some very interesting and very serious turtle and tortoise issues, mostly tortoise, but we'll get to that. So my idea was to go through and replace our favorite movie characters with a species of turtle and tortoise. But again, unless you really guys want to hear that next week, we're going to be skipping that. So please comment and tell me how great of an idea that is. I mean, just picturing, some sort of Matamata. I think a Matamata would be like as two Matamatas, like Vincent Vega and what's the other guy's name?
Jules Winfield.
Jules Winfield, right. Picture. So just put that stuff on the back burner. Think about it. We're going to have our best for you soon.
That was a Pulp Fiction reference.
Yes, Pulp Fiction, yes. Well, that's one of the best movies, one of my favorite movies, certainly. I think, Tony, you can agree with that, right?
I am not following you at all, but I would agree that is a wonderful movie.
Perfect. Well, let's get right into it. Honestly, we're really excited to have this guest on. So we want to just we're going to cut, like I said, we're going to cut the the dumbed down stuff, the John stuff, and we're going to get to more Tony and guest stuff. And hopefully this will be the best episode that we've had yet. So that probably sounded really salty, by the way. I'm not, for the record, I'm comfortable with my position.
John and I are also both very comfortable making fun of each other and situations such as these. So
right.
Don't worry, everyone. The honeymoon is not over. This is just us being us. So, in case you're wondering.
Probably we should move forward now. Instead of getting into the politics of our relationship. Andrew, we're going to bring you in right now, so just wanted can you introduce yourself to the crowd?
Yeah, definitely, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm Andrew Hermes of Arizona Tortoise Compound.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
I don't know you very well, so I'm going to ask a couple questions just to get the basics out of the way right now. So you run Arizona Tortoise Compound, and where is that located in Arizona?
A little bit west of Phoenix, Arizona, a little city called Peoria, Surprise area. It's west side of the valley.
Okay. What type of, as far as your business operation, we're going to definitely get into more about how you're one of these guys that definitely has a good thing going, is able to do your work with these guys full time. So we want to talk about that more, but just can you give us a basic rundown of what your operation is?
Yeah, it's fairly plain and simple. I care for different species of tortoises, raise them and breed them, and kind of sell the offspring online. Throughout the year, I acquire different tortoises, and I have to let some go throughout the year, so make those available to the public also.
Okay.
But that's the main operation of Arizona Tortoise Compound, and over the years, stemming from the business and working with tortoises, we were able to branch out to a little bit of the educational side and research, and trying to help out the tortoise species in general.
Okay. Awesome. I mean, that definitely sounds like like a dream come true. So good for you on that. What my main question, I guess we can just talk about some of the business stuff right off the bat. I just want to know how you're able to make it work. What has happened in the last, like, obviously there's been a large change in the last 10 years, whatever, with with most of the stuff being done on the internet. How much do you use the internet in your business model?
100% internet based. There's no storefront. Local sales really isn't there. We don't do any reptile shows here locally. Pretty much just ship nationwide, and for one reason or another, it's just really worked out well for us.
That's could you speculate on some of those reasons? One reason or another is
why it's worked out, or
yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, obviously you don't want a ton of competition, but like if someone was looking to get into it, what's the type of thing? Why does your business work? And you don't have to reveal too much. I mean, I don't need to be like that penetrating, but just what makes it sustainable?
I really don't know the main reason why it works. I guess you just try, and it does work out. On the business end of it, we appeal to customers because our prices are adequate and not unreasonable. Same prices as what I would like to see. And then just mainly we treat others how we want to be treated. So, returning customers is a huge base of our business. They appreciate the customer service and being treated with respect. And just answering all their questions and being there for support. The reptile industry is a lot of repeat business. People that are in it are in it, and they're there for a lifetime. So,
can I speculate? Do you mind?
Go for it.
Sweet. All right, I'm going to speculate a little bit. I think everything you said about to answer John's question. I know that's not necessarily an easy question. No offense, John. That wasn't a dig at all. It really wasn't. I'm not being sarcastic. I think that everything you're saying about having a good reputation is really important. It's really important once you're breeding the tortoises or the turtles or what have you. I think the biggest thing is actually breeding healthy animals, because there's a market, so people are going to buy what you have, and if they don't, you just lower the price on your Hermes tortoises $10, and then they'll sell quicker. But I personally can't do what you do, because I can't do what you do, in that I can't breed animals the way that you do. You're a master, you're a husbandry specialist, and that the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. Now, it helps that you're in Arizona, and we're all
weather's nice.
Yeah, it's been dark here for like 3 hours, and the high temperature here is 25 degrees today. But that has something to do with it.
Number one comment I get from most people is say that all the tortoises that they see on the property, they're real healthy.
Right.
So just paying attention to detail and caring for them daily, checking on them and feeding them variety and moderation, just not lazy and caring. It just shows through your work and what you do, and that just goes through the tortoises that I have and offer. But don't get me wrong, I get a lot of ups and downs. I run into health problems myself, cross-contamination. Say a box turtle hatchling jumps into a leopard hatchling group and gets them all sick. So I do experience my downfalls, but overall just offer and make available what you'd like to receive. I'm a seller just like a purchaser, so I buy animals and receive them through FedEx and random people as well. And I know what I'd like to receive, and I send that to the customers that way. So.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's the important thing to keep in mind with that is that this is a guy who knows what he's doing, and I think that's where the success come from. If you are a successful breeder, then you're going to be a successful business person. But you have to be a successful breeder on a big enough scale, and I think we all can appreciate that as people who, I know John and I kind of grew up, so to speak, in Rhode Island when we were in college, and we used to visit a friend of ours who owned a reptile-themed pet store there called Pure Paradise Pets, which is a really great stop if you're ever in Rhode Island. They have
shout out Tom.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a place in Rhode Island that's not, it's not Florida, okay, but you can see, he has giant sulcata tortoises, an Aldabra tortoise, a full-grown alligator, and a full-grown, well, debatable, a large green anaconda. So if you're, and many other notable herp species. So we kind of grew up going there and seeing, but you see that what he's doing is a dream of ours, but at the same time, as you kind of are around it, you see the difficulties that go into it. So you're dealing with customers, and you're responsible when you sell an animal that dies, and you at the end of the day, a profit is important because it is your livelihood, right? So you can't 100%, if we're just being real about it, you can't 100% be in it for the animals, because if you're relying on it as your livelihood. So I think that's a delicate balance that I think a lot of people fall short on, just from my own observation. I don't mean to be rude, but I don't think you're one of those people. Can you speak to that at all, Andrew?
It's definitely a balance, but dealing with live animals, if you honestly don't care for them or care for their well-being, there's no way that you'd be able to maintain them, because they'll end up failing on you. So,
right.
Again, dealing with live animals, you gotta have that care, and it shows. You wouldn't be able to do it for the long haul if you're just setting things in buckets and sending them out.
Right.
Not that much profitability with tortoises to be able to let half of them die off before you get them or whatnot. But luckily, it's a passion, so that's the reason why I've been able to model it into a business and make a living off of it. Again, very lucky for it.
And to sell a lot of animals and to keep a good reputation. And I think that's the difference between a breeder and a dealer. And we talk about that all the time, and to us it's something that we kind of have figured out over the years, but for any maybe newbies out there who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to say any names, but there's a fauna classified ad that says breeder direct on all the things that they're selling, and then they sell Russian tortoises that are over 4 inches and things of that nature, like animals that are really commonly imported. So if you look at it, you can see they maybe bred 1 out of the 10 species. So I think that a breeder is the key word, and maybe a lot of people want to act like they're breeders, but I think that what Andrew has going on is really breeding for profit, but doing it really the right way, and kind of differentiating himself from some of those other dealers who do most of the selling online, who you see most often. And this is why it's so important to find the right person after you do all the research to make sure you're finding the right species. It's important
you need to find something that sets yourself apart from others, and that's the one thing that I found. Maintaining all the different species I actually offer on my website makes me better educated and versed as to the care and the upkeep and what needs to be able to have them thrive. So that's definitely one thing that sets me apart from most others. What I offer is what I personally maintain and care for. And don't get me wrong, I do buy offspring from other breeders locally and sell them through the website to help me out when I don't have things available. But again, I maintain the adults, and I know what it takes, and I can share that knowledge with others.
By your website, you of course mean ArizonaTortoiseCompound.com. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, correct.
Is that like the type of website that our listeners should check out, do we think, maybe?
Yeah, more than welcome. Come check it out. It's fully up to date with pictures and information, and feel free to send me an email, and I'll help you out answering any questions.
Beautiful.
And he really will.
Right now, we've maintained 38 different species or subspecies. We're talking about adult groups that are breeding or on their way to breeding. So every year we continue to increase that and keep it going.
That's so cool. I don't breed anything. Oh, don't make fun of me for that.
You guys know a lot of stuff going out there too. Don't cut yourself.
How do you keep, like, what is the basic arrangement for them for any of the just give me an example of what they're housed in?
It's kind of doing it on a large scale. There's a lot of uniformity and redundancy, so it's just simply wooden enclosures or wooden perimeters with adequate space. You need to have all the normal stuff: water hole, food dish or food plate, a home for them to be secured to, and different edibles, things like that. I don't know if you saw any of those pictures through my video.
Yeah, that's great. That was great.
That's really awesome.
I'm sure you'll hear some dogs barking and some trains going by here in a little bit, but that's just how we have it here.
Okay, we have a picture up of your website just right now for everyone that's looking. How large of an area are you working with? What's the property that you're on like?
I'm spread out onto actually 3 different properties. So 2 properties are half acres, and then the third location is just a common backyard.
Okay.
Oh, it's awesome.
That is great.
Andrew, do you need a bodyguard? Because I'd die for you.
I've got my Mastiff, so they stay by my side, but I need to get you guys out here the next TTPP conference. I'd like to get a representative out here for you guys.
That's fine, but just so you know, I'm sleeping with the tortoises. Not sexually, but I'm going to sleep in one of their pens.
I've got large enough houses, you'll be able to get a sleeping bag in there and cuddle up with some ivories.
Yes.
We need to get Russ to schedule it a weekend earlier so it's not my anniversary weekend.
Oh, that's my problem. It's my wife's birthday on the day of the conference. So past 2 years, she's been pretty upset.
Yeah, it's always our anniversary weekend. So
yeah. Funny how that works.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, listen, I'm really going to take you up on that, and I'm really going to sleep with the ivories, just because, so I could say I do it. I'm going to wake up with a tortoise doodoo stuck to my forehead, and that's okay. That's a chance I'm willing to take.
Wouldn't be the first time.
It's nice and heated, so you'll enjoy it.
I did just yesterday. I woke up like that just yesterday. So what Andrew and the rest of us are talking about is the Turtle and Tortoise Preservation Group's annual conference, which takes place in Mesa, Arizona. Is that correct, everyone?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's around like the middle of November, and it's growing in popularity every year. And basically, it's getting to the point where if you like turtles and tortoises as much as we do, and you don't go, then you get ridiculed by many people around that time of the year, which has basically been happening to us for the past couple of years. So I really want to go next year.
A lot of knowledge and information shared, and a lot of insights that help out.
You presented there, Andrew. How was that experience?
Scared out of my mind. So, but no, it went real well. Did a half-an-hour presentation. Felt like it was only 2 minutes worth, but got a lot of compliments, and a lot of people said good job. So.
What did you present on?
Just general breeding tortoises in Arizona. Kind of enclosure layouts, what we feed them, how we take care of them, how we separate things. I did a little slideshow and a little bit of a talk. I had some video footage to upload, but the monitor wasn't working or the computer wasn't working with us, so that was a little bit of a bummer.
I think that's
but
great.
Overall, it was fun. It was good.
I think that's great because you have this expertise that you've worked for years to perfect, and I know that you have some people who have been nice enough to share with you what they know when you were getting into it, but for you to return the favor or pay it forward on that large of a scale, I think that's a great thing because, I'm not going to say that people like a lot of people will willingly neglect fellow enthusiasts who are kind of up and coming, but it takes a lot of effort and a lot of planning and a lot of nervousness, and public speaking isn't for everyone, and I think you'd agree that it's not your favorite thing in the world, but you realize the importance of education and how important it is for you to get up there and do your thing.
Same thing when I was learning and researching myself and trying to figure out, how to maintain and care for impressed tortoises. Not very much knowledge and information is out there, so what I could find and gather and put all together in a bundle, might as well try to spit that out and make it easier for the next person looking for it. They can find it all in one location rather than looking at 50 different sources.
So here's a cool question that I have, if you guys don't mind. So we have a lot of people who watch our YouTube page and our Facebook page and yours as well, who really like tortoises, and we kind of like all species, right, for different reasons, but we also all have our favorites. What would you say is your favorite species? What's your favorite species, but then also what are you most excited about right now? Because I think that's probably two different things. Like a project you're excited about right now.
It's such a hard question, and it's so hard I couldn't answer it, and I can't do it to where I'm trying to kind of gather up small groups of everything. So I think that's the reason why I have so many different species that I maintain and care for. Each one has its own little classification or uniqueness that makes them awesome and exciting to work with. So a lot of different categories of things. Right. For example, the best looking tortoise, I think the prettiest facial features and good looking animal would be one of the female angulated tortoises that I have. For some reason, I just get a kick out of that look and what she is. So I'm pretty excited about the angulateds. Newer groups that I recently acquired within the past year or two that are just now popping off and showing some breeding activity. I'm probably excited about those groups more so as those cycles come around, and then when the next species pop off, I'm excited about those. So again, I get a kick out of all of them. Definitely enjoy them. It's kind of like sitting out back and feeding the birds. I like sitting out back and watching the tortoises. So
you're gonna be the coolest old man in it ever.
Right. So.
They're either gonna call him that or they're gonna call him the crazy tortoise man. But
yeah, I get some type of crazy label, I'm sure. So no, a lot of people enjoy that I let them come over and take tours and check out the private facility or the setup. A lot of people
that's cool, old guy. Like that's definitely not crazy. I don't think you can be a crazy turtle guy in general, anyway. But that's cool.
Yeah,
professionally, I can't diagnose people, but as a community behavioral health professional, I'd be willing to bet that each one of us has some serious mental illness around turtle and tortoise love that could probably merit some sort of diagnosis. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. If people aren't into tortoises or reptiles that much, they kind of look at you funny, like, "What the hell are you?" So. No,
but they're the crazy ones, though. It's not us. I refuse to believe that it's not us.
It's actually really true. I think it's and this is getting a little philosophical, but we are into something that a lot of people aren't, and I think that says a lot more about us in a positive light than it does other people, because now it is a kind of a weird niche within like wildlife.
It's a niche within a niche, definitely.
Yeah, it is, but we are so interested in something that we're willing to research it and to learn scientific jargon and Latin names, and we're reading books that were meant for scientists, and I think that says a lot about us in an age when most people are just playing video games or whatever else in their spare time.
I agree. I agree 100% with that. I think it's definitely there's a basis. I know I talked about this before, but you can tell a lot about a person by just the way that they treat animals in general, and then with turtles and tortoises being the coolest type of animal, that then is even more indicative of how you feel about them.
Right.
For sure.
I wanted real quick. I just wanted to mention one thing. We're gonna keep our conversation going. Hopefully, that doesn't stop the flow. But today's episode, we have a sponsor. It is Garden State Tortoises. Steve, do we have a picture or something that we were going to show? And there it is.
There's your logo.
GardenStateTortoises.com. Check it out. We're a closely affiliated group.
Chris Leon's definitely a good guy that does well. The turtles and tortoises that I acquired over them past years all have been super healthy and just have no complaints about them. So he does a good job. He really cares for his things, and it shows.
Yeah, he's a good friend of the Turtle Room. He's helped write some of our educational resources, just as Andrew has as well. Check out GardenStateTortoise.com as well, and check out what Chris is doing, especially with the Western's Hermes tortoise is big passion species for Chris over there at Garden State Tortoise.
Yeah, he's definitely doing big things with those.
I rope the two of you in together with as far as having a good reputation because of what you're doing to the healthy animals you're producing, that species that you're passionate about. He's the same sort of thing. He's probably breeding on a smaller scale than you are, but he's doing it in New Jersey, which is so cool for us because it gives us kind of a little bit of hope as cold weather turtle nerds to be able to still find a way to
contribute.
To do it.
Yeah. And the things that he deals in means a lot too. So he's making things and doing things on it. You don't have to be. It's not about how big you are or how many species that you have. It's all about what you do have and doing it right, and that's what Chris is doing. Large production with.
I feel like I've heard that advice before. I can't remember where it was though. Something of that nature. It's not about the size; it's about how you're doing it.
I think that's
Is that what we're talking about?
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. It's my motto actually.
It is. Oh, that's where I heard it. I heard it. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Steve, do we have any questions yet that we can ask?
No, we have not gotten any questions through YouTube yet.
Okay, people, what's going on here? We blocked off a lot of time for you to give us questions, so let's get asking. We have a tortoise guy here. Come on, Steve.
Maybe a little shy like myself.
And would you like to make up a question and pretend someone said it in so it looks like there's a lot of people watching? Maybe we can do that.
Yeah, but that's what I want to say, Steve. From now on, I want you to make up questions when we ask you if there's any questions.
Yeah, the answer never be that there's no question.
Yeah. So Whirly Squirrely 77 and
that's the most fun part would be getting to make you get to make up the name of the person that's asking. That's definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question for Anthony. How your flat tails doing over there?
Oh well, they're not the most rewarding species I've worked with yet. I actually lost one. It's been really crappy for that. They just don't seem to be flourishing yet, or I don't know if they ever will. So it's been kind of a bad one. But Andrew's referring.
Thanks for bringing it up, though, Andrew. That's great.
Sorry about that. I didn't know. I haven't heard any updates. So.
Well, you know how
that's probably why.
Right. Trust me, he would update you if it was going well.
Good one, John. Thank you for making fun of me. Thank you for kicking a brother when he's down. They're a great species. What Andrew is referring to is Pyxis planicauda, the Malagasy flat-tailed tortoise, which is one of the world's rarest tortoises. Maybe, I don't know. I think they're top 40 in the what was that list done by the IUCN, Steve, in like 2011?
I think so. The list is actually a few years old now, so
2011.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was the top 25, and they didn't make the top 25, but both they and their other species in the genus, Pyxis arachnoides, or the spider tortoise, were both in like the others receiving votes area, which was like ended up being like the top 40. So one of the top 40 rarest turtle or tortoise species in the world.
That's Madagascan, right?
And we
Yes.
Yeah, and we should say Anthony is doing quite well with Pyxis arachnoides.
Yeah, not
as his disappointment in the Planicotta.
Yeah, not as
it's a hit or miss. This is the way, this is the business we've chosen. Sometimes we lose things. It's not. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I should say I'm not doing as well as Andrew with the spider tortoises, though, because he got an egg recently. Is that correct? How long ago was that, Andrew?
Correct. That was 3 days ago now. That was the first viable egg so far since
Awesome.
I've had the group. She laid her first egg last year and it broke it in the water dish. So this year makes year 5. So hopefully we'll be able to get it to hatch and have some success. So
I love you and hate you at the same time for that. I just want you to know. That is the coolest thing ever, but I'm so jealous.
Long-term project, but a nice payoff once it happens. So.
Yeah, that's one of the things too. Those babies are worth a pretty penny, which is nice. But what trumps that so much is what a special animal that is, and the fact that it doesn't matter. When sulcatas came to this country, African spurred tortoises, when they came to this country, they're a rare species in the wild. And over the course of the past, probably 2 decades, because I know they were here like in the 60s, but not in any big numbers or anything like that. So over the course of like the last 2 decades, they become really popular in the trade, and that'll never happen to some of these smaller species. As Andrew said, he got his first viable egg, so that's a 1-egg clutch. So here's a species that's extremely rare in nature and in captivity, and it lays 1 egg at a time, and it also requires a pretty difficult diapause through incubation. So that animal will just never be common ever.
Definitely a species that not for the money. You're not going to be profiting off of those, but just what you can do with producing them and helping them in captivity. That reward is what you're shooting for with that species, those species.
I have a question from a listener.
We actually have
I have
one.
a question from a listener too. We all had time while he was talking to write our questions. I think is that what happened here?
Awesome.
We actually do have one.
Yes,
in fact, fellow Turtle Room staff member Tom over in the UK in Wales was wondering if you work with any of the Homopus species, Andrew. And I'm guessing the answer is no, as they're quite rare, but...
Correct. The answer is no. I see pictures from Europe and over the seas, and I just get jealous. Last year, we were trying to work on bringing in a group from Hong Kong. They're just a harder species to come by in the U.S. with the 4-inch law. That's where it makes it difficult. But if you know the right people and you got the right money, you can definitely make it happen. But we haven't yet.
Yeah, I've gotten to see the smallest one of those, Homopus signatus, at Tennessee Aquarium. Neat little tortoise. I mean, you think about one of those females laying egg, and the egg's a quarter the size of the tortoise. I mean, it's huge compared to the animal it's coming out of.
Yeah, we had the pleasure to see a pair at the Baylor Center last year, and that was really neat seeing them.
Oh, that's cool. Which species were they? Signatus as well?
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
I've got 2 questions now.
You do one, I do one, you do one.
No, because you have fake questions. I have real questions.
I don't have fake questions. What kind of what do you mean?
I'm like an expert on ESPN right now. I'm getting texts from people who have the cell phone number as opposed to people leaving messages on.
Jeffy, what's the question?
All right. Well, I don't know. All right. I'm going to ask this one first. Andrew, what's the species that you would most want to work with that you don't want to work? That you don't work with now, more than anything.
Yeah, that would be right there. The Homopus, the paired beaks, exactly.
Man.
Yeah, for me, it's I think of some of those African tortoises. Looks like Andrew hiccuped there for a second. I think of Homopus and Samobates as like they're kind of the no man's land of tortoises for us here in the United States because there's just not a lot of them here.
And you hear horror stories about how people brought them in or zoos and just lost large numbers of them, and that's kind of what motivates me to try to accomplish that. I think I can make it happen. Just need to find the right animals and update them legally.
That's cool. So, ready for another question?
Shoot.
I'm going through my email. All right. Are you working with Impressa, and have you had any luck with them? Have you had any luck with them?
The Minori's Impressa, yeah, we have a 2.2 group. It's a small group. It consists of 3 captive bred animals out of the Atlanta Zoo, and then 1 wild-caught female from 6 years ago, supposedly. But the wild-caught female, she's an adult. We acquired her last summer. So we're hoping that she'll be able to offer up some eggs this year coming up. But the rest of the group are young animals still. Again, hatched in 06, so you're looking at about 9 years old. I think they need about another inch to grow before we see some activity. Okay. But they're all thriving and doing real well. They've got their little routine set up, so I think we'll be able to get there with a little bit more time.
Just so everyone, all the listeners know, Impressa is, of course, referring to Minori Impressa, or the impressed tortoise, which is a rare tortoise species, which is really cool if you want to look up photos of them. They're really cool-looking species. And a few of the videos that Andrew has on YouTube and that we have on YouTube feature his impressed tortoises. So if you research them, you will definitely be impressed.
Great species. They're definitely quirky, and they have their own little things that they do that make them interesting. So they like watching you and checking out you. Same thing while you're sitting there looking at them. So they're pretty neat. If you have the opportunity, definitely say go for it.
They're so old looking. They look like the oldest. They look like a dinosaur. I think that's what I love. I can agree with the way they look. It's just so interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
So just so you know, those questions came from Jared, and Andrew, he said now he has to beat you to breeding Impressa. So just so you know.
Well, I hope he does. That species definitely needs the help in captive bred situations. There's not too many out there that thrive and do well. Ben had some, and those were the only ones being offered for quite some time. So.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the many times I wish I had more money. That's what that was. Exactly.
Yeah, we can't keep everything. Haven't won the lottery yet either. So.
You have to play to win, I hear.
Yeah, that's my problem. So.
Indeed.
I'm hoping maybe one of my family members will win and share a little bit with me.
Hope they share you too.
We wanted to see if we could get one of the videos of the impressed.
I'm working on it right now.
We're working on it. Okay. I have one of my listeners called in a question, so I'm going to go ahead and ask that one. This is for everybody, not just Andrew. And this is actually a good question. So there's half of a joke in here, but this is real. The listener's name is I Breathe From My Butt 85.
Good.
You thought I was going to forget about that, Tone and Steve. You thought I forgot about the butt breathing turtle thing. I did not. The question is, dealing with mortality of turtles that you keep, walk me through the process. You walk into your enclosure and you find one of your turtles or tortoises, in your case, has perished. How do you handle it? What do you do?
Yeah, freak out, throw your hands up in the air, and say, "Oh no!" But usually you can smell them before you see them, so that's a bummer there too. You can walk out and then just pinpoint it real fast.
In that case, Tony, you may be dead.
Yeah, it was definitely dead. But you just gotta live and learn. So depending on the species and how valuable it is to you, and obviously the cause of death, you might want to take it down to the vet and get it figured out and see what you could have done differently. But dealing with live animals and nature, and that's the way things go sometimes. So older animals perish, and we didn't want it to go, and it did, and you just got to keep rolling through. So that's what I do.
So you take kind of circle of life approach, like it's going to happen. There's not a lot you can do about it. Obviously you're trying your hardest, so you do your best, and then if it happens, it happens. Is that accurate?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you hold on to it for an extra day to see if maybe it'll start moving, but usually doesn't happen that way. So yeah, gotta let it go.
It's so interesting to hear that you do that too. I always do that, and it never works. It never works out ever.
No, never does. But just like any other failures, it's a great way to be able to learn and see what you did wrong or what happened, and be able to better yourself. So it's a learning experience. So as long as you learn from it, then it's not too bad. You're still getting something out of the situation.
I usually I hide it from my wife, because if I let her find out, then she has a horrible time dealing with the loss, and basically coming to grips with the fact that it's a part of what I do, and she doesn't really enjoy that very much. And then I call Steve and I tell him, and then I tell him not to tell anyone, because I don't want
because makes it harder for her to let you buy your next tortoise too.
Yep.
So,
That's true. What do you need another one for? You're just gonna kill it anyway.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So neither of you, I don't know, Steve, no one performs services for the animal? That's what I did when I was a kid. I know that. We moved on from that. I've definitely given eulogies for hamsters before.
Yeah.
I think
no one else channels their grief in that way. Is that weird?
We don't necessarily keep pets. I don't have enough space or electricity or energy to keep animals just to keep them. Steve's a little different than me. Steve keeps pets. I don't. So everything I have.
Okay, so you have detached yourself from the situation. So you don't believe that you have anything to do with it. They're not pets. They're just things that may die.
No, I love turtles and tortoises, but I see this as an opportunity to study them and to breed them. They all have a job. They're all here to. I work with rare species, so their job is to reproduce, and I only have so many resources to make it happen. So if I have like one single animal of its species where it's not breeding, then it's taking up space, and I'm doing that animal and its species an injustice if I'm not trying to breed it. So I don't. Now I do.
So do you have emotions for your animals that you are keeping breeding?
I still do, and they still get names and things like that. But it's different than a lot of people think of them. I think when you're into it as deep as some of us are, it's a little different than just having a single animal because you like it. Steve hangs on to a lot of his animals, but I think he still will identify what I'm saying a little bit. That your entire game plan becomes different. Whereas a lot of people who are just into it for the first time want one of every species so that they can see the different animals, and they want community tanks with different species. But then towards the end, you're keeping animals separately or with their own species because you're concerned about how it'll all affect breeding and the health of the population and stuff like that.
So to bring that home then, how that changes the way that you deal with one of them dying.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes
a little
and
bit.
no.
Yeah, Steve, I want to hear.
Yes
We're going
and
to go
no.
all the way around. I like it. So, Steve, tell me. What's your process?
It really depends. I think they're even when you get even when you are a little more, I guess, attached with them because you don't see them as pets. There still are animals I believe you get attached to, and so some of them will hurt more than others. Especially if it's an animal you poured a lot of time and effort into as well. Mine live in the main living area of the house still, though. So that's one of the reasons why, for me, they're probably a little more pet-like, is just because they're literally right there in the living room.
You can't attach them if they're right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like they're down in the basement away because we don't have a basement. So.
Steve and his turtles are sitting in there watching the Steve Harvey show together every night.
Wow, Steve Harvey. That's been a while.
Steve Harvey. I was talking about his talk show, not the sitcom. Just saying.
Well, at least you'll be able to watch your tortoises and make sure that their daily routines are, doing the same thing. So maybe you catch some health issues a little bit sooner. So there's some pluses to that.
That's true. That's very true.
I'm just think that was interesting that the way that we have 4 distinct ways of handling if something, the way that we rationalize what happens when one of the animals we work with dies. We have a video. The video is ready to go, so we're going to show you a quick video, and then I think we have some more questions. So let's roll on that.
Steve, is this going to be a silent playing of the video, probably?
Yeah.
So let's do that, and we can talk over it, which would be cool.
Yeah.
What video are you highlighting?
It's a surprise!
Whoa! Steve, you look confused. What's up? Talk to me. You're on mute. You got to talk louder than that.
I'm embarrassed.
No. We got nothing. We're seeing and hearing nothing yet.
We can keep talking.
Yeah, we can keep talking.
We can. That is an option. It's a viable option that we might.
While we're waiting.
I have another question. Ready?
Ooh,
this one comes from Jared in Florida. He'd like to know how many bags of Missouri tortoise diet do you go through? How quickly?
Surprisingly, not too much, not too fast. So maybe about 5 bags every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe 5 bags a month.
That's fast.
Oh, we don't offer it to the tortoises too often. So maybe once a week, maybe the adult tortoises once every 2 weeks. So more of the natural landscape and natural edibles makes life easier. It's a little bit cheaper also to be able to offset the food cost balance that way.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
I like Missouri, and I think it's good to be able to give the tortoises something hearty and something filling, and again to diet variety and moderation. So it's nice to have another food source to be able to offer.
Yeah, my spider tortoise is just like would not turn the corner and start making real progress until I started offering Missouri. Actually, well, I shouldn't say that. I've never had a species that grows at such a different rate. So I had one that they were all around the same size when I got them, and then one was 3 times the size of the smallest one in about a year and a half. And that little one was very active, very strong, very very healthy in pretty much every way, except it wasn't growing until I introduced Missouri, and then almost overnight it started to grow. And same thing, not the entire diet, just as a supplementation to the diet. But you could see what a great item it is to be able to offer as part of their diet.
When they're eating it, you know that they're getting their fill. It's so heavy that you know that they're getting enough of it. So you feel good that they got their food intake for the day. So yeah,
right.
Great.
Okay, do we have Steve? Do we have another question? I believe we have.
Yeah, we do. Tom actually has another one for us. Let me get it back up here. He was asking Andrew if your business organization has worked closely with any zoos in regards to conservation efforts. If so, what species and programs have you been part of?
No programs, nothing like that. We've reached out to the TSA, our local organizations here in Arizona, and then our state level organizations to be able to help the native tortoises, and not very many open doors on that end of things for us. So I'm not too sure why that is. If it's because we're a business instead of an individual. But we're open to help out for anybody, just like how we procured our relationship with Turtle Room, just helping out. So no, don't work with any breeder loans, any organizations, with any large breeding groups, or helping anything out. It's just all individual and pretty much private, what we do on our own.
I think that's cool. I don't think there should be any pressure on that. That you should feel any pressure or anything like that. I mean, you're a relatively young guy. How long have you been at this? When did you start the Arizona Tortoise Compound?
Well, I'm 32, so I started Arizona Tortoise Compound as a business, I believe 6 to 7 years ago. So still fresh into it in terms of how long tortoises live, and other breeders started off way back in the day. So
right.
Many years to come. That's the nice part about it. So
yeah, I think you're having so much success right now, and like we talked about, you have this great reputation, and I think what's cool about this hobby is that we get and being young in this hobby as we are as well, is being able to see how things progress over time, and we can collaborate with one another in ways that the older generations never could. And I think it'll all come in time. Steve and I had these conversations. If you look a couple years ago, we didn't have any connections with any zoos or anything either. But as time progresses and you start to make a bit of a name for yourself and start to reach out in a professional manner, next thing you know, you do have some contacts, and then obviously those contacts lead to other contacts. I always talk about every year, I can't believe how much progress we make in what we're doing. If you look from year 1 to year 2 to year 3, it's like, oh my gosh, night and day from where we started to where we are. So I think you probably experience all the same things that we do.
yeah, most definitely, I'm sure of it.
That's cool. Just so everyone, go ahead, John.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just so everyone knows, when we were talking about Missouri tortoise food, that's a 25-pound bag. So that's a lot. Like if I had that, I have like let me think how many. I have 7. I have like 13 tortoises or 14 tortoises, which by normal human standards is a lot of animals, which is a joke. But it would take me like 2 years to use one bag. And he says he feeds it very seldomly, and he's still going through 3 bags in that amount of time. That's really telling to like, you may not feel like you have the most animals in the world, but to me you have like, I can't even imagine what that looks like, all those animals out there. It's so cool. And I mean, I've seen the videos, but it's just such a cool thing. That's my idea of heaven. Your backyard is what heaven looks like. I'm convinced.
So, tortoises and aldabras are the ones that put down the Missouri big time. So they're probably consume 1/3 of that total just themselves. So
I believe it. I definitely believe it.
For heaven for me is like they're there, but like they're like people. So I'm like having like a drink with them, and they're like big, like tortoise mug drinking. Just
hard to keep anything planted in those enclosures, though. They like eating it all down to the bare minimum.
I bet. Gosh, my still cloudy. John, do you remember Kong when he used to eat cigarette butts in the bottom of a broom if you left it anywhere near him?
He ate everything, yeah.
We lived in Providence. It's a disgusting place. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I have to totally disagree with that. For our Providence people, not that bad. We just happened to be a lot of cigarette butts on our floor. When was there cigarette butts on our floor?
Land. No, I'm saying outside. I built a pen for them, and then just because we're in Providence, cigarette butts would constantly find their way into the tortoise pen.
Right. Yeah.
It's a joke. Yeah, that's a bummer. Tobacco is poisonous for tortoises, and those cotton swabs aren't very good either.
No. And I have no idea why this tortoise was attracted to everything that was bad for it. Everything.
Not unlike humans.
You could put down some hay or some Missouri or some nice dandelion or something like that, and it'll run right after your shoe instead, or after a piece of trash or whatever it could find. Eat a rock.
We were talking about this last episode. That's why, I mean, I think that they know. They're just messing with us. They're messing with our heads why they do those behaviors. I think most animals, I really think that they just are it's all tongue-in-cheek. They're laughing at us.
They just want the attention, huh?
Yeah, they know. They know what's going on. They're not.
We've got a viewer named Randall who says he's been to your facility, Andrew.
Yeah, good evening, Randall. He's definitely a good gentleman. I believe he came over with his little daughter while he was on vacation to Arizona. So.
Oh, so jealous, Randall. Oh, Randall always gets to do all the fun stuff.
But real nice guy, real nice family for sure.
He's also wondering if you're going to show off some tortoises before it gets dark.
It's kind of already getting dark. The tortoises that are out and about, they're a little bit too far away, and then this phone conversation starts getting shaky. So maybe I can walk around and find something, but give me a little bit of time to fulfill that request.
You got all the time that you want. That's perfect.
Any other questions, Steve?
That's what I've got right now.
Come on, man. You're so...
Randall's doing a good job with it.
We do have one more. Sorry, we do have one more.
Creativity from you. You're supposed to make it up.
Juan is asking how hard it is to come by Pelusios nanas in private collection, so this one's more for Anthony.
Oh. Well, what did you say the name was, Juan?
Juan, from YouTube.
Hey, Juan. Thanks for the question and thanks for watching. They are very difficult to come by in private collections. However, it looks like it's becoming much easier now. The price has dropped from $1,000 or $950 per animal to $1,200 per pair over like the past year. And those are for imports, so they are being imported. So you're probably going to see them get cheaper, and they're not that difficult to breed. Well, I shouldn't speak to that. I've never bred them, and they've barely ever been bred. But from one of our partners, Jared, who has had success breeding them, it hasn't been the most. It's relatively straightforward. So I'm thinking there should be some more breeding and captive hatch. Captive hatch specimens should be available for purchase sometime soon. So at least a couple people have bred them, but the hatchlings haven't been available yet. So if you have money, you can get them. They're not necessarily. I don't necessarily know how rare they are in captivity, but hopefully there'll be some available soon. So now we can talk about what Andrew's doing.
I was trying to find some tortoises for you, but what species of turtle were you just speaking of? Forgive me.
Just now?
Yes.
Pelusios nanas, the dwarf African mud turtle.
Okay. Randall asked me a question on Facebook. Randall asked me a question on Facebook a few days ago about my elongated tortoise's head, what the colorization was. So I'll show you a picture of her. Her head's definitely yellow with a little bit of a pink tip.
Yeah.
She's a younger female. She just laid 2 eggs for her first time for us yesterday, actually. But we got her in a little holding cell overnight, so it's nothing special while it's cold outside.
So cool.
Awesome.
I was just talking to Chris Leone at the Hamburg show with Steve, and remarking on how elongated tortoises are probably the most underrated species you can get, turtle or tortoise, right now, because they're relatively inexpensive. They're an endangered species, and they're awesome, and they're far more appropriate for captive keeping than your sulcatas, for instance. So they're selling them for $100 for hatchlings. Like, that is $100 they were going for at the show, and people are still buying sulcatas for $60. Not to say, that there aren't certain people that should or could have sulcatas, but I mean, for the extra $40, it's a no-brainer in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely endangered out in their native environment, so you would kind of think more people would be keen onto them, but they're not very popular.
Yeah, and sulcatas, again, are endangered in the wild. However, they don't need help from captive breeding. They have had plenty, and to the point where now individual animals are suffering because of it, because they lay large clutches and they're overrepresented in the pet trade. And if you look at Craigslist anywhere in the country, you'll see pyramided sulcatas that are obviously suffering, and those are awesome.
I don't know how well you can see the picture, but a few radiated youngsters.
Those are radiata. Oh my gosh, I love them so much.
Wow, that's so cool. How many of those do you have?
There's 11 of them that we were planning on holding them back and trying to raise them up, but I think we're going to be letting them go here pretty soon.
Yeah,
making them available on the website.
He decided to send them to Connecticut, so I'm sorry, everyone. Someone's got to keep those. Someone's got to take care of those darn things. I'm just I'm happy to do it.
Beautiful.
Really cool.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to wrap it up now. I just want to definitely say, from the three of us, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on. We really, really appreciate it, and we really thought we had a good conversation, had a lot of fun. So thank you for being here.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on and letting me be a part of it. So something new for me, and enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, beautiful. So, guys, please check out, again, his website, ArizonaTortoiseCompound.com, and check out the website of our sponsor, Garden State. What's the full website?
GardenStateTortoise.com.
GardenStateTortoise.com. Okay, that's what I thought. I was gonna say turtle, and I didn't want. I was like, wait, that's not right. So I just wanted. GardenStateTortoise.com. Check out TurtleRoom.com, and we will let you know very soon when the next episode will be. So thank you for coming. I've been breathing from my butt this whole time.
Have a good night.
Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Definitely. Pleasure.